single rule when we visited our grandparents' house. Never enter the barn. That rule had been hammered into my sister and I since we were very young. The barn was a small, run-down building with a single window in it around the back of my grandparents' house. I don't think it really qualifies as a barn at all. Maybe an oversized shed, or a garage. But there was something about that weird old building that gave my sister and I the creeps. Each night, after the sun had set, a pale blue glow emanated from the barn's sole window. We would fall asleep most nights to the light shining through our bedroom window, causing strange shadows to dance across the ceiling. But even though the barn creeped us out, I can't deny that we would have been the first to investigate it if the opportunity ever presented. Trouble is, there isn't a door to the barn. Weird, right? At least no door that we've ever found, and believe me, we've looked. When you tell two young people not to do something, it is reasonable to expect them to try at least once. Or twice. My sister and I spent many hours, over many visits, scouring that building and the surrounding fields for a way in and always came up short. Then came the year my sister disappeared. I was 14 at the time, and 5 days into the last summer I spent with my grandparents. One day she was there, sitting at the dining room table making plans to go horse riding, and the next thing we knew she was missing. No note. Nothing. Being that my sister was 18 at the time, very little was ever done to find her. There were stories floating around about my sister getting pregnant and running off with a local boy. I never believed any of it. Mom didn't express an opinion either way. She retreated deep into herself. We'd lost my dad when I was 4, so when my sister disappeared it broke something inside her. Something that I alone couldn't fix, no matter how hard I tried. She never took me to visit our grandparents again after that. I'm not sure she even spoke to them. They died last year, first my nan, then my grandpa 2 days later. There wasn't a funeral. Shortly after, my mom moved into their house. She never told me why and hasn't let me visit. We barely talk anymore. It's been 10 years since I've seen that barn, and somehow it manages to haunt my dreams even now. I still see that weird blue light cast across the ceiling of my room at night, no matter where I am. I live clear across the country from there now. Obviously, there's no way it's the same light. But I find myself falling asleep watching the shadows perform their familiar dance once more. Next thing I know, I'm standing at the window overlooking that stupid barn. My sister is next to me. I know this place. We're in our bedroom at my grandparents' house. The barn light is much brighter than I remember. Almost blinding. The land behind the house glowed in its brilliance. My sister grabbed my hand, pulling my attention away from the light. I turned to look at her. Her eyes shone with the same eerie pale blue as the barn window, her face void of emotion. "He's coming." The words came out in a scream I can still hear echoing in my head as I woke up. It had been the same dream off and on since my sister disappeared. Never once had it differed. Tonight, the dream is different. Tonight, as I stare out the bedroom window, I see the barn is open. The one-windowed wall was now opened wide like that of a dollhouse. Blue light was emitting everywhere and nowhere all at once within the small space. It cast a glow that was so bright it made the surrounding shadows seem impossibly dark. That's when I saw my sister. She walked out of the shadows to stand on the lawn below the window where I stood transfixed. She turned to look up at me, pointing towards the barn. "He's here!" She screamed. The glow in her eyes had returned. This is where I'm supposed to wake up. I am asleep, right? My sister's screams grew louder. Even through the glass, she was impossibly loud. I pressed my hands to my ears, closing my eyes tight, willing myself to wake up. Silence. Was it over? Slowly, I opened my eyes, hoping to find myself awake and in bed. No such luck. I'm still standing at the window. There's a man in the barn. His black silhouette is a stark contrast to the bright light. He cast an imposingly large shadow that engulfed my sister. My sister, she wasn't alone. There was someone with her now. Mom. Mom. I yell and bang my fist against the window. The man reached out to my family. I bang against the window again and again, pleading with my mom not to go. She either couldn't hear me or didn't care to. I try to make a run for the door, but my feet are cemented to the floor. All I can do is watch as my mom takes my sister by the hand and is led into the light of the barn. A loud ringing noise fills my head. It hurts. I press my hands to my ears once more, trying to block it out. I screamed. I hit the floor with a loud thud. I'm in my room. It takes 2 seconds too many to realize that the ringing I was hearing was in fact my cell phone. It had 2 voicemails by the time I found it. I listened to the first, but it was just the sound of a phone being hung up. The second had my heart pounding into my throat. It was the Nielsen Sheriff's Department. My mom is missing. They need me to come home. They want to open the barn. I walked up to the old farmhouse. The stairs creaked one by one with each step I took. The vibe of the house was off. I could sense it in my bones. My room was in the attic. It was hot and muggy, and smelled like must. But I was happy, because it was all mine. I unpacked my boxes and put on music. Eventually I decided to take a nap. I fell asleep rather quickly, but was awakened by the smell of smoke. A candle was lit in the corner and had caught the curtain on fire. I blew out the candle and threw a cup of water on the fire. I don't remember lighting the candle, I said to myself out loud. I was confused, but thought, oh well, maybe I was so tired that I just forgot. I opened my drawer to get my pajamas, but to my bewilderment, they weren't there. Everything that I had unpacked was gone. I ran downstairs to tell my mother that something odd was going on, but she wasn't home. Where could she be? Could she have taken my stuff when I fell asleep? Did she move me to a different room? I knew there had to be a logical explanation to this. I checked each room, but nothing was there. Not even my mom's belongings were there. What is going on? I was becoming frustrated and scared. I ran to the front door to go outside. I jolted the knob, but it was locked. It was locked from the outside. I began to panic. Frantically trying to push the door open, I could smell smoke again. Where is it coming from this time? I screamed. I ran to each room, finally making my way back up to the attic. Oh no! The same candle had caught the curtain on fire, again. But this time I had no water to put out the flame. I pulled at the curtain, but wasn't strong enough to collapse the rod. The flame grew larger and hotter. I knew I had to get out of the house. I ran down the stairs to the front door, still locked. I fled to the back door, but to my amazement it was bolted shut. I cried out to anyone who could hear me, help, please, anyone? My only option is to break a window. I grabbed a chair and plowed away. The window felt like cement. I tried until I became weak. Smoke engulfed the house. I could barely breathe. Surely someone will see the flames and come to rescue me. I have to think of a plan, and quick. I ran to the bathroom. Maybe if I turn on the shower and wait, it will keep me alive until the fire department shows up. I ran into the bathroom and slammed shut the door. As I walked past the mirror, I recoiled in horror. My reflection was of someone that I didn't recognize. My hair was singed and mangled. My skin was bloody and blistered. I could see bone and pieces of flesh. My eyeballs were dangling and my clothes were burnt. I screamed out loud, but I could no longer hear my own voice. My thoughts were becoming foreign, but I knew I hadn't been burned. How did I end up this way? What happened to me? I got into the shower and turned on the water. I laid there and closed my eyes. I could hear the house burning around me. When I opened my eyes, I was walking up to the old farmhouse, the stairs creaking one by one with each step I took.